Hello everyone, welcome to our first live. We're here with Ricky and myself. Hello Ricky.
Hello, morning everyone. Today we'll be looking at how the Sophos managed detection and response will benefit your business. Quick look at today's agenda for everyone. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction for the next couple of minutes before handing it over to our Sophos guest speaker. That'll finish around about sort of 10 to 11. We'll have a quick Q&A at the end with any questions you have, and then hopefully finish around 11 o'clock. Today, I'll be hosting it. I'm the Regional Sales Director at CSG. We're also joined by Dan Parker, who is the Senior Sales Engineer at Sophos. He's our guest speaker, and obviously joined with Eve, who is our Marketing Manager.
Hello everyone.
CSG.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited for this first chat.
Before we start, and I hand it over to Daniel, I just want to share a couple of stats with you, just to explain the importance of having the correct protection in place for your business. With an increase in cyber attacks over the years, it is now more than ever important that your organisation takes the necessary steps to ensure you have the latest protection in place to reduce any chances of ransomware and other cyber attacks. The survey that was carried out, as you can see on the slide, this was covered across the globe and just shows the different types of industries affected in 2023 by ransomware attacks, with companies having lost a lot of business, which is in the dark blue colour. So you can probably see by the slides it's across all sectors from legal even through to retail. On this slide, you can see the different root causes of ransomware attacks and the different methods that these attacks are coming into your business. Everything from the common phishing attacks straight through to malicious emails. On the next slide, the research has revealed that attacks has actually remained at the same level in 2023 as it was in 2022, with 66% of respondents to the survey reporting that their organisation was hit by ransomware in previous year, which is the same, as I said, as 2022. Just want to take a little opportunity just to talk about CSG and who we are. CSG has been trading since 1985. With our head office based in South Wales. We also have other offices across the UK and a current turnover of over 4.5 million. We have over 400 SMEs across the UK, and we offer our customers a vast range of services from managed IT support, backups and disaster recovery services, cyber essentials, cloud IP telephony systems, and we also offer market-leading cybersecurity products from Sophos and also Microsoft 365, including the cloud Azure products and all IT-related hardware. Just a couple of slides just to show the different types of partners we work with. We're a Gold Sophos member, and we also work across other ranges, like I said, is with Microsoft. We're a HP house and also VM as well. More importantly, we are a Cyber Essentials Plus as an organisation. So peace of mind for all our clients that, we will look after you if anything happens. So I'm now going to hand it over to Daniel. If you do have any questions during the event, please use the Q&A box and we will try to answer as many as possible at the end of the event. So I'll now hand it over to Daniel.
Cool, thanks a lot, Ricky. Hopefully you can see that slide now. Would you guys mind confirming that?
Yep.
Brilliant. Okay, cool. So a little background on me. My name is Daniel Parker. I'm a senior sales engineer here at Sophos. I've been working in cybersecurity for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, and my current role at Sophos is sort of a technical sales role. I've been with Sophos for the past 2 years nearly. And you can probably tell from the accent, I'm not exactly a local boy. I'm originally from New Zealand, but I've been living in London the last couple of years and absolutely loving your beautiful country. But I thought I'd start the slide deck off. We're going to be focusing on MDR today, so Managed Detection and Response. But I thought I'd start the presentation off with a little background on who Sophos is as an organisation. So we've been around for nearly 40 years now, 4 decades, which in the technology world, and especially the cybersecurity world, is a very, very long time. We were started in the UK, just outside of Oxford, in a place called Abingdon in Oxfordshire. Started by a few Oxford University grads, and our historical sort of strong point was in the antivirus space. But throughout the years, we've branched out into a lot of different other technology areas. And a little snapshot of where we are today on the global market is we've got over 500,000 customers globally, 100 million users globally. We've got over 4,000 security experts internally at the organization. We're a channel-first organization, so we partner with great companies like CSG and over 25,000 other active partners to deliver our products and services to the market. And then in terms of each product, some quick numbers here. We've got 250,000 endpoint customers, over 20,000 MDR customers globally now, 40,000 XDR customers, and over 200,000 firewall customers. So we're a very established cybersecurity brand on the global market. And over on the right there, you can see some quick stats around our sort of analyst reviews and what these third-party analysts and our own customers as well think of our products. We're the #1 provider of MDR services globally, with the most customers by a significant margin from vendor-led MDR services. We're the highest rated and most reviewed MDR service on Gartner Peer Insights, where there's verified customer reviews for MDR services. We're the top rated MDR service on G2. We've got industry-leading compatibility, allowing us to sort of lay over the top of any sort of environment or tech stack. And we've got the most expansive portfolio of products and managed services that extend visibility from your protection across the entire network as well. And a quick couple minutes on this slide as well. This is our adaptive cybersecurity ecosystem. I'm not going to spend too much time on here, but this is a really nice way to see what sort of products we're offering these days. We've broken them into endpoint security, network security, cloud security, and email security. All of them can be managed within our cloud management platform, Sophos Central, and all of them, including these third-party integrations, plug into this data lake. And that is just our centralized cloud repository that we use to store telemetry and generate detections for detection and response solutions like XDR and MDR, which is the one we're going to be talking about today. The other quick thing I'll point out on this slide is the Sophos XOps banner. So that is a new umbrella term that we're using to highlight over 500 different security professionals that work here at Sophos. And they are our AI and data scientists. They are our threat researchers at Sophos Labs, which is a tier 1 threat research agency, and also our security operations professionals, so our analysts, our incident responders that fall under that managed services banner. And all of those teams work together to improve the efficacy of our own products and services and ensure that we are constantly pushing the boundaries of what we can do from a protection standpoint, but also from an investigation and response standpoint as well. Now, before I jump into MDR, I just want to quickly frame the sort of differences around all these sort of different acronyms, because I know there's a lot of them flying around in the technology space and they can get a little bit annoying to hear. They're all very similar. So I thought I'd break them down a little bit and explain what each one is. So the first thing I'll cover off is protection. That is sort of endpoint protection, server protection. We call it next generation endpoint protection these days, but historically that's sort of your antivirus. And that is the agent that's just going to sit on the endpoint or the server, and that's going to detect and block the majority of threats that appear on that endpoint or server. That protection does a very good job, especially here at Sophos. We have a product called Intercept X Advanced. But the thought behind detection and response is that you need to be able to see all the activity on those devices that is potentially malicious or suspicious activity. And then you need to have a way to investigate and respond to that activity. Because if an attacker is persistent enough and skilled enough, no matter what protection technology you have in place, they're going to find a way to get around that technology and complete their goals, like a ransomware attack. So you need something like an XDR solution. And that is where you are investigating all of these detections. You're determining if these alerts are false positives or if they are legitimate threats, and then you are fully responding to these threats and ensuring they're cleaned up across your environment and there can't be a sort of reoccurrence of that event. And then MDR is essentially where Sophos does that for you. So we are looking at these detections on your behalf. We're investigating them on your behalf. And then we are also responding to these alerts on your behalf to ensure that these attacks cannot progress through to a full-blown ransomware attack, and you're going to stay protected on a 24/7 framework. Now, we've seen quite a big shift from these XDR solutions and this idea of doing it yourself towards these managed service offerings instead. And it's something that we're calling cybersecurity as a service. So there's quite a few reasons that we've seen a lot of customers, our own customers and other organizations in the world, decide that running these solutions themselves is too difficult. One of these sort of points is that the IT staff that these companies have typically they wear a lot of hats as a part of their day-to-day job. You know, they're not necessarily cybersecurity professionals. They're IT administrators, IT managers. Cybersecurity is a part of their job, but they're by no means a cybersecurity analyst first and foremost. So that means they either need to upskill existing staff or they need to go out to market and hire more staff to be able to build out what we call a security operations center or a SOC. Now, the problem being is there is over 3 million cybersecurity practitioners currently needed globally. So trying to find one of the analysts is very, very difficult to do. And when you do find them, they're very, very expensive because there's just not many of them out in the market. So that leaves the existing teams to try and deal with these alerts, or even the ones that have managed to build out this internal SOC capability. 71% of them are struggling with the amount of alerts that these tools are generating. They have to log into their firewall, they have to log into their endpoint protection platform, they have to log into their email platform to respond to these alerts, and it's too time consuming and too difficult to deal with internally. And the median response time for organizations to deal with these threats is 16 hours, and that is a number that we've pulled from a Gartner report. Obviously, when you're responding to threats, you want this to be as fast as possible because it doesn't allow attackers to achieve their goals if you're responding before they can achieve those goals. But 16 hours is a significant amount of time, and it gives these attackers a lot of leeway to try and progress through that attack chain and achieve those action on objectives like encrypting your files and computers. The other big problem that customers are facing is also 24/7 coverage, but I've got a couple of slides on that I'll cover off in a minute. So our sort of response to these challenges has been the Sophos MDR service, or Managed Detection and Response. And the three key things that we're offering with this service are proactive threat hunting. So we want to try and proactively go out into your environment and see if we can hunt down threats or indicators of compromise or issues that could become a breach later on and catch them before that they can get to that stage. Then we're also performing threat detection and investigation. So the alerts that are being generated by these protection tools, we're investigating them. We're determining if they are malicious or not. And then we also perform incident response. So if we do find a legitimate malicious threat, we'll respond to that threat, we'll contain it, we'll eliminate it, and ensure that you're going to stay protected on that 24/7 framework. Over on the right-hand side, though, you can see that we've got over 20,000 customers globally now. We have seen a huge push towards these MDR services in the last sort of 18 to 24 months. Our own growth has been exponential. And this is also not just here at Sophos. Gartner came out last year and they said that they thought that 50% of organizations would have an MDR service by 2025. That is a massive number. So there is sort of this industry-wide push towards these managed services because dealing with that XDR solution to ensure that you do stay protected is just too time-consuming and difficult for IT teams in today's day and age. And a really key stat to remember here is Sophos's average MDR threat response time. So to detect, investigate, and respond to a threat, it takes us total 38 minutes on average in customer environments. So that is very, very fast. We're the only MDR provider that really publishes these results. So we like to say we're the fastest in the world because no one else has proven us otherwise. But either way, 38 minutes to respond to a threat doesn't give these attackers time to be able to progress through that attack chain and complete these actions and objectives. And it allows us to catch these threats and stop them before any damage can be done to those customer environments. So 24/7 coverage is obviously a really key thing when thinking about cybersecurity. It's a big area of concern for a lot of the customers that I talk to. And the point being is that if you're going to get attacked, it is most likely not going to happen when you're at work in front of your desk and able to do anything about it. And if you look over here on the right, we've got a little graphic here. We've pulled this from our active adversary report that we run, that we survey out to about 5,000 organizations every year. And these were the times that these organizations were actually hit by cyber attacks on a 24-hour clock. And you can see there, most of these events were happening in that blue area, which is outside of the time that you're going to be at work. And the orange dots are also on the weekend. So the vast majority are going to be not when you're at your desk. And so the question is, how confident are you with your incident response procedure right now and your capability if these attacks are happening when you're not in front of your laptop? If this happens at, say, Friday night, 11 p.m., that attacker theoretically is going to have, nearly 48 hours before you're back in front of your desk on Monday morning to effectively respond to this. And if you do get alerts on your phone or email, you might be on call. First off, that's not an ideal place to be. I'm sure you'd much rather be hanging out with the family or on the golf course. But if you do get that call, how many people can you effectively bring in on the spot and start responding to this, within 30 minutes to ensure that this attack isn't going to be able to progress, especially if this is, 3 a.m. Realistically, this is a problem that most organizations, and I'm talking more than 99% of organizations, cannot effectively deal with, at least not that I've seen in my short but illustrious career in cybersecurity. So what we've done is we have built 7 security operations centers across the world to provide this 24/7 coverage. And we did this to be able to use a follow the sun methodology. So we've got a security operations center in Australia, India, Germany, UK and Ireland, and then 3 in America, including 1 in Hawaii. And I've talked to the MDR team. Everyone is trying to get transfers to that Hawaii station. Unfortunately, no one's been accepted yet. They're only hiring from the States, but I'm sure they'll keep trying to be able to live in a sunny, beautiful island like that. But the point being is, with this follow the sun methodology, it allows us to provide a smooth 24/7 coverage of any threats that do appear. So no matter what time of the clock you're getting attacked, there's always going to be a full team of analysts there to respond effectively, no matter what time of the day it is. And I've seen some attacks that go on for very long amounts of time, really large enterprise organizations that are getting attacked by very advanced sort of e-criminal gangs, or sometimes nation state attacks. And these attacks can go on for longer than 24 hours. The longest I've seen is about a 38-hour continuous attack. And our analysts were constantly defending. We've got over 200 analysts that can jump on a keyboard whenever they need. So this customer was constantly defended for that entire 38-hour period. And we just had handover sessions between each SOC to ensure that there was that smooth coverage and no damage could actually be done to that organization. Now, we've got some key customer use cases here for why Sophos MDR has been such an important service for our customers. And the first one is expert-led response. So we've got human analysts with hands-on keyboard response responding to these threats. We've got no limit to that response action during your subscription period. We don't hit, a sort of hourly limit. You don't need any retainers. We'll just be there when and where required to respond to these threats for the entire subscription period that you're with us. We can also do vendor consolidation, so you can consolidate your security monitoring into one solution. So we can pull in alerts from all of your security infrastructure into one console, and then we've got one team investigating and responding to these threats, no matter where they appear. And then the last one here is we've got reduced workload. So you can give the IT team time back in their day to spend on other projects and cyber tasks like improving security posture or patching vulnerabilities as well. Sort of takes that burden off their plate and allows them to spend their time productively elsewhere. And so ultimately, this sort of flexibility is one of our biggest benefits. We can immediately spin up a SOC as a service to begin protecting your environment, and we can get visibility across your entire technology stack, no matter what vendors you're using. So whether you need a team to sort of completely manage your investigation and response, or you just want us to alert and then work alongside your existing team, whether you want your threats contained or you want your threats systematically eliminated throughout your entire estate. And whether you're using Sophos protection technology on your endpoints and firewalls or emails, or you're not, and you're using, your own trusted third-party vendors to provide those solutions, and you're not interested in moving away, it does not matter to us. Sophos MDR is here to meet customers wherever they are on that security journey and ensure that we can provide an industry-leading and comprehensive managed service to any organization and allow them to make the most of those existing security investments while being able to build on that foundation as well. And we provide this MDR service in sort of two flavors. The first one is Sophos MDR Essentials, and the other one is Sophos MDR Complete. Now, both of these come with full 24/7 coverage, full 24/7 threat monitoring and response from Sophos and non-Sophos branded products. We provide high-level executive summary, weekly and monthly reporting, great for showing the value that you're getting from the service, and you can send it off to your managers. We provide a monthly intelligence briefing called the Sophos MDR Threatcast, where we talk about the latest cyber news, the latest threats that we're seeing, the latest vulnerabilities. We provide an account health check when you first start to make sure everything is configured to best practice and you're going to get the most from the tools and the service. And then we have expert-led threat hunting. So this is the proactive threat hunting piece. And there's sort of two sides to this coin. One is we are running what we call queries. We run about 200 to 250 queries every day in customer environments to try and catch those early indicators of compromise in those customer environments. And we can cater these queries to customers' regions and sector as well. So if you're a healthcare company in the UK, and we are seeing other healthcare companies in the UK being attacked a certain way, we can try and find the earliest indicators of those attacks in your environment to ensure that we're going to proactively find those threats before they become a full-blown breach. And then the other side of the coin of the proactive threat hunting is we have a specialist team of about a dozen threat hunters that sort of sit in a dark room every day, wear a hoodie, I'd imagine. They're all sort of, ex three-letter agency type people, and they come up with a hypothesis every day. And they say, I think our customers are going to get attacked in this way. It's something that we haven't seen before, but I'm going to see if I can find indicators of that activity. And then they'll trawl through the data lake of all 20,000 customers and try and find indicators of activity. So they're really trawling through and trying to find the 1% of the 1% of threats that we might be missing. And then we'll use that information to update our own detection engineering process, as well as our own investigation and response process with MDR as well. Now, either way, if it's from that proactive threat hunting or if it's from any of the detections that are coming from your cybersecurity products, if our MDR team investigates one of those signals and determines that it is malicious, that's when they move to the response phase. So threat response is the first thing we'll do. And that is where we are containing threats. We are preventing any sort of lateral movement so they can't spread elsewhere in your environment. That could be isolating devices, that could be disabling affected user accounts. And then we're going to start removing those threats where we've found them. So we're going to eliminate them. We're going to delete malicious files, malicious artifacts, whatever we need to do to clean up the threat on the device that it's being detected on. You'll also get direct call and support during active incidents. So if you're concerned about something, you can pick up the phone and you can straight away talk to one of our analysts about what they've found and what they're doing. Where we sort of upgrade to the MDR complete column is we're also going to perform root cause analysis. So we want to understand everywhere in your environment this threat has been found. We'll figure out how that threat got into the environment, where else it's spread, if that email was sent to anyone else, if they downloaded that attachment, is it stored elsewhere on computers, was it through a vulnerability on your server? And then once we've figured that out, we'll perform full-scale incident response, where we systematically move through your environment and remove any threat that we've found, any artifact of persistence, make sure that this attacker can't get in the same way that they got in originally. And then we'll also give you a list of sort of remediation items, security posture hardening actions that you can perform to prevent the reoccurrence of that kind of threat as well. You'll get a dedicated incident response lead assigned to you as a customer. And you'll also get something called the Sophos Breach Protection Warranty, which is a very exciting offering that we're offering to our MDR complete customers, I've got a whole slide on that, so I'll save it for then as well. But these are the sort of two flavors that you get with Sophos MDR. For the MDR complete offering, you're going to need Sophos endpoint protection and server protection installed. But this essentials column here, this is a great offering. This is a really strong offering, and you can use this alongside whatever endpoint security product that you're currently using, whether that is CrowdStrike, Trend, whether that is Microsoft Defender. I know there's a lot of people that are moving to Defender these days. It's included in their licensing. We can layer over the top of that endpoint protection agent with something called an XDR sensor and still provide the same great service no matter what infrastructure you are using. It's a really important thing to remember there. The other thing that we've got is these MDR response modes. Now, I want to prefix this slide by saying these are all free. You do not pay any extra for any of these options. It's simply how you want the MDR team to interact with you as a service and work alongside your own team. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want this to feel like. We want the MDR team to feel like an extension of your own IT work team. So on one end of the spectrum, we've got collaborate, and that is where if we find a threat, we'll investigate it, we'll come up with a response plan, and then we'll get in touch with you and we'll tell you about what we found. We'll give you a call, we'll say this is what we want to do, and then you can give us consent to carry that action out, or you can perform that action yourself. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got authorize, and that is just 24/7, when and where required, we will take whatever action we need to fully clean up these threats and respond to these cyber attacks as we see fit. And in the middle one here, which is our most popular by far when customers start out, is a collaborate with authorize. And that is where if we find something, investigate it, come up with a response plan, and we give you a call, but say it is 3 in the morning and you don't pick up that phone, we'll automatically switch to authorize. We'll clean up that threat and you'll hear about it in the morning. But it means that if it does happen during the day and you are in front of your desk, you can work alongside the MDR team while they respond to that threat. You can see, how they do their job, what their sort of response process is, and it makes customers feel a lot more comfortable with this MDR team sort of working in their environment because they can see it firsthand how they're performing these tasks. We do see quite a sharp drop off after about 6 months though of customers in this middle column. After 6 months, they're fully comfortable with the MDR team and they just say, okay, I'm ready to take my hands off the wheel, move to authorize, and all of a sudden that entire cybersecurity burden doesn't fall on me anymore. You can leave a trusted cybersecurity global vendor like Sophos to take care of all of that for you, and they'll only get in touch when they need to, but they'll clean up those threats automatically without any input required from yourselves. So there's a lot of flexibility available here, but like I said, these are all free options. It's just simply how you want to work alongside this service. Now, this is another slide that I've also briefly mentioned, but I'm going to cover it again because it's such an important statistic. Up the top here, you can see that median incident closure time for internal security operations teams, and this is a statistic from Gartner, 16 hours is the median. Slowest is 30 hours of the people that were surveyed, and the fastest was 3.7 hours. That's good, not ideal. And you can see here our average threat response time in real customer environments is 38 minutes to detect, investigate, and remediate these threats. So it's really, really rapid. A big part of the ability to do this is backed up by our protection agent on this device. But like I said, we can still offer this response time with third-party endpoint protection products because we've got that XDR sensor layered over the top as well. But the threat response time is really low. This is the number that we've worked really hard to get down to, and it's a number that we're extremely proud of being able to achieve day in, day out. We're currently sitting a little bit below that, but the marketable number is 38 minutes that we consistently achieve. We also have these weekly and monthly cybersecurity reports that I mentioned. These are really nice high-level executive summary reports, great for sending away just to show what the MDR service has been doing, what detections have been seen, what cases are open, a breakdown of detections against the MARTA attack framework. Like I mentioned before, really nice to send off to management, but you can find all of these in the portal as well. And for MDR complete customers, we have this breach protection warranty. And this is essentially, if you get breached as an MDR complete customer from an attack that starts on an MDR complete protected device, we will personally insure you up to $1 million in response expenses. We don't use an insurance company to provide this warranty. we personally back this warranty up out of our own pocket. So that's $1,000 per breached machine, up to $1 million total, and that includes a $100,000 ransom payment if needed as well. I'm going to quickly say we've never paid this. We don't ever expect to pay this. This is really just showing how much faith that we have in our own service, that customers aren't going to get breached in an MDR complete environment. We have so much faith that we're personally insuring this $1 million out of our own pocket. But like I said, we don't ever expect to pay this. This is just a way of showing our customers how much faith we have in that service. So really cool to see. It can also go a long way when having a cyber insurance conversation as well. It'll make it a little bit easier to get those premiums down, knowing that you've got something like this backing up that service. And speaking of cyber insurance, actually, I've got a whole slide on this. MDR services are going to make this a lot easier, this entire conversation. First off, easier to get covered. So many of the requirements that you tick off during that cyber insurance form process that's getting longer and longer every year, MDR is going to cover a significant portion of those requirements. It's going to make it a lot easier to fill out the form and get approved for cyber insurance, but it also very regularly reduces premiums on cyber insurance, mainly because the chance from a cyber insurance perspective, insurer's perspective, that you will get breached with an MDR service, that risk is so much lower. So they're more open to reducing those premiums, because at the end of the day, the likelihood that you're going to need a payout is so much smaller. And then lastly, we've actually partnered with an insurance company called Cowbell. They're a very large American insurance company, but they've now moved to the UK, and they are offering discounted insurance specifically for Sophos MDR customers. So if your insurance contract's coming up and you want a discount on your next insurance contract, reach out to Cowbell. They'll give you a discount if you're an MDR customer. And we've seen some customers save a decent amount of money on those contracts just for being an MDR customer. So the more visibility we get in this MDR service, the better. We want to see threats, wherever they appear across your entire technology stack. Initially, I'm talking a few years ago, we only offered this for Sophos products. So, Sophos endpoint, Sophos firewall, Sophos email protection. But realistically, that wasn't fair to our customers. Customers are using tools that they like, tools that they don't want to move away from, tools that they're familiar with, tools that they trust, and not wanting to move away from those and compromising on the capability of this MDR service didn't seem fair to us. So what we did is we acquired a company called Sophos, and it's given us the ability to ingest third-party telemetry. So that means that we can collect alerts from your Cisco firewalls, from Mimecast email, Okta identity, and collect all of that information into our data lake, contextualize and correlate it into single security events, or what we call cases, to provide sort of immediate understanding and analytical coverage to our analysts, allowing them to investigate and respond quicker to these events across your entire environment, sort of resulting in a complete managed service offering that can meet you where you are on that security journey, and we can work alongside those existing investments that you've made in cybersecurity. And these are the integrations that we can currently work with. This is also not an exhaustive list where we're constantly adding to this list. And we've got a very sort of dense roadmap of integrations that we're going to bring out, but these are most of the ones that we're currently offering. And we've broken these down into technologies. So the integrations are all set up via API or log collector. And the sort of key integrations that our MDR team absolutely love seeing. Firewall is the biggest one. They get really happy when all of a sudden these logs start coming in from your firewall. We're seeing IPS alerts. Email is another really big one. Obviously, so many threats land at the email, land at the email sort of barrier. So seeing that activity is going to provide a lot of context and also a lot of ability to respond to threats earlier in the attack chain. Identity is another big one as well. Seeing, if we're seeing malicious activity on a computer, but then we can couple that with failed login attempts or login attempts from other countries. Obviously, that's going to be a lot easier to understand that malicious activity is indeed malicious activity. And also, these third-party endpoint providers here as well, specifically Microsoft Defender, you can drop our XDR sensor alongside of it. So it's a lightweight sensor that we use. Not only can we integrate with the third-party endpoint provider to allow us to pull in the alerts that they are seeing and those block alerts as well, but we also get our own Sophos proprietary detections from that sensor, and then we can investigate and respond through that XDR sensor directly to the device as a part of that incident response process as well. Other technologies that we've got internal network, so network detection and response. That's sort of the internal east-west traffic of the on-prem network. We can look at your cloud environments. Well, we've got a productivity category, so Office 365, Google Workspace can provide a lot of helpful context during these attacks. And also, excitingly, we've got a new backup and recovery integration that's just gone live, currently with Veeam. We've got another couple of vendors coming in the pipeline as well. I think Rubrik's the next one up. But Veeam themselves, great, very exciting integration. So now we're going to be able to see alerts directly from Veeam. And if you think about a ransomware attack, attackers love going after your backups. Obviously, if they encrypt all your files, and then you can immediately sort of roll back from those backups, that attack isn't going to have a lot of substance. But they want to go in, they want to remove those backups first and then encrypt everything, leaving you with no other options except to pay that ransom. So now we can integrate directly with Veeam. We can see alerts from Veeam, and we can say, oh, someone's trying to delete files in your backups. Someone is trying to tamper with files. Someone is trying to modify passwords. All of this activity that usually comes hand in hand with a ransomware attack, our analysts are going to be able to see immediately as it happens, as high priority events, because that is such an important part of that ransomware process. So really exciting new integration that's come on board recently. Now, I want to spend a bit of time talking about Microsoft. They were all over the previous slides. I want to break this down a little bit further. So many organizations are starting to utilize this Microsoft security portfolio. So we really wanted to ensure that we can provide a service that is tailored to customers in that situation. So if you're using Defender for endpoint protection, we can pull in those alerts coupled with our own proprietary detections, as well as telemetry from all of the other security solutions Microsoft offers and Office 365 audit logs. This allows customers to really capitalize on that investment that they've already made with Microsoft without needing to I guess, compromise on the managed threat hunting and incident response that you want to layer over the top. On top of this, we've also trained 50 internal professional services engineers to be able to give health checks in Microsoft Defender to ensure that customers are sort of fully utilizing these tools to the best of their ability. But the long and short of it is, if you're heading down the Microsoft route and you're really trying to make the most of these products that you're currently licensed for that you might not be using, that is fantastic. We do not mind. We can still provide this great MDR service over the top of that investment, and you'll still get all of these great features over on the right-hand side that you need as a part of these MDR services. And just to break down exactly what we can pull from Microsoft, there is the Microsoft Security Graph API. That includes, Defender for endpoint, identity, clouds, email, identity protection from Azure AD, Microsoft Sentinel, and we also pull in Microsoft audit logs from the Office 365 Management Activity API. And you can probably see up the top there, all of this is included for free. You do not pay anything extra to integrate any Microsoft products. That is a core part of the service that we are offering to ensure that we can really work hand in hand with customers that are going down that that Microsoft route. In addition to Microsoft products, we also integrate any Sophos products for free, obviously. We integrate Google Workspace recently for that productivity category. So we can see Google system-defined rules, suspicious activities, malware and phishing, access control, data control, and any third-party endpoint protection we can also integrate for free. So if you're not using Sophos in the endpoint, we can plug straight over the top of that at no extra cost as well. Another thing here is we also include 90 days of data retention for all of these security events and logs. So we're going to keep those logs for 90 days free of charge as a part of the service. These other add-on integrations come at an additional price. They are all priced per user and per server to make it simple. And each of these technology integrations include all of the vendors within them. So firewalls, always the example I talk about. If you're using Cisco, but then maybe Fortinet on the boundary, but Palo Alto on the sort of core infrastructure firewalls, or maybe you're using Fortinet, but you're going to migrate to Cisco next year. It does not matter to us. It doesn't matter what vendor you're using, how many vendors you're using, how many firewalls you have, how much data is being ingested. It's all priced per user and server at the start of your MDR subscription term, and it's going to stay that amount. You're not going to get any sort of add-ons or changes if you decide to make changes on that firewall side. So we just sell each one per technology to make it simpler and cheaper for the customer. And you can add on as many of these that you want or none of them, and just keep that core MDR service. But like I said earlier, the more visibility that you can put into the service, the better and more effective it's going to be. We've also got an option to add on an additional 1-year data retention pack to this service. So if you've got any compliance requirements for keeping these logs for a longer period of time, you can purchase this additional data retention pack. Then we'll keep these logs for 12 months instead of the traditional free 90 days as well. Another really exciting thing that's come out recently is we have partnered with Tenable to provide a new managed risk service for our MDR customers. So with this service, we're going to provide continuous discovery and prioritized exposure management to help organizations gain visibility across the modern attack surface, focus efforts to prevent likely attacks, and also accurately communicate cyber risk to support optimal business performance. So the first phase of this managed risk service will focus on external attack surface management, powered by the combination of Tenable attack surface management and Tenable vulnerability management. Our analyst team will use these tools to gain visibility of the external digital footprint, and then a subsequent and comprehensive view of the externally facing vulnerabilities of our customers. This goes live in April, only for MDR customers, with a plan to extend this to internal assets as well the following quarter. And just to be clear on this, this isn't a Tenable integration where you have to have your own Tenable licensing. This is going to be a fully packaged cybersecurity as a service offering, provided as an optional add-on to the MDR service, where we're going to scan for these vulnerabilities, let you know where these critical vulnerabilities lie, allowing you to make sure that security posture is as tight as possible and as strong as possible. All right, I'm going to quickly jump into Sophos Central for a very brief demo, no more than 5 minutes, just to show you what it's going to look like as an MDR customer and some of the bells and whistles in here. So Eve and Ricky, please confirm if we can see Sophos Central here. I'm hoping we can.
Yep, that we can see that all good. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. So this is the MDR dashboard that all customers under MDR will get. The dashboard itself, you get a summary of detections, detections that have been seen over a time frame, time of day by operating system, a breakdown against the MITRE ATT&CK framework, and then you can also see a classification summary, a health check rating if there's been an MDR health check performed recently, and also the most problematic devices and if there's any active cases open. The cases themselves you can view in here. So this is all of the open and closed cases. And within these cases, you can see the notification from the MDR team. You can add messages and provide evidence within these cases as well. You can see when it was created, resolved, updated, what detections were associated with that case as well as if it maps the MITRE ATT&CK framework at all. And you can see what devices are associated with that case to sort of quite easily understand the attack that's going on. But obviously, depending on your response mode, the MDR team is just going to sort of move through and respond to that threat and then leave notes here around what they've found, what they've responded to and how they've done it. And then they'll close that case sort of automatically. We do also have the Threat Analysis Center. This is more for our XDR customers, but as an MDR customer, you can come in here and within the cases in the Threat Analysis Center, you get a little bit more detail as well. If you did want to sort of dive into this and see, what exactly was going on, and you can see here all of the different detections that happened during this security event. You can see we've got information from Fortinet firewalls down here. You can see we're pulling in alerts from Microsoft Security Graph, these cloud alerts, and you can see we're also seeing threatening activity on the Sophos endpoint here. And if I open up these detections, you can look at the information around that detection that happened as well. So you can, if you want, drill in to the technical details of that security event, but obviously that's totally up to you. The MDR team will see all of this and respond to it on their own. You don't need to go into that. Back in the MDR dashboard, we can jump into report history. This is where you can find those weekly and monthly reports. You can open them up very easily, and you can jump through here and you can see what detections have been seen over that week, status of your cases. You can see the detection classification summary and the MITRE breakdown. You can see devices with most detections, a breakdown of those detections, and you can see, things like MDR efforts and communications that have come from that MDR team as well. Within the MDR dashboard, you can also jump into settings here. And this is where you can set your authorized contacts. So you get 3 to choose from. You can only do 1 if you want, but you can have up to 3. And these are going to be the contacts that the MDR team reaches out to during an event. So they're ordered by priority. So you put, port of call number 1 at the top, port of call number 3 at the bottom. And we'll reach out to these in order. And then you can change your threat response actions here. These are the collaborate and authorize modes that I talked about before. You can change these whenever you want. You don't have to change them. You don't have to set them once at the start and then leave them forever. You can change them. If you're on collaborate with authorize, but then you go on holiday for 3 weeks, you can switch to authorize for 3 weeks. And when you come back, change back to that one. Very easy to do. But as a part of that collaborate or collaborate with authorize mode, we'll reach out to these contacts that you've defined here as well. And then the last thing I'll show you in Sophos Central here is how easy the deployment is. So if I jump into devices, if you're already a Sophos customer, this is going to be like magic for you. You can just come into your computers, click all of them, manage endpoint software, and all you need to do is change this to central managed detection and response. That's going to push an update out to your agents. And then straight away, once you've done that and the authorized contacts and response mode, you are up and running. You've got an MDR service. You've got an instantly spun up SOC protecting your environment 24/7. It is just that easy. And if you're not a Sophos customer yet, all you have to do is come into this installer page, get the XDR sensor agent up here, and then push that out to your devices. Like I said, it's a lightweight agent. It's very easy to do. Go set those authorized contacts and response modes, and you're away. We'll also set up a success factors workshop, or we've got a guided onboarding process that you can do as well, which is a professional services led onboarding. But to get up and running, it's very quick, very easy, and straight away you can get that 24/7 protection that you're looking for as an MDR customer. Quick few slides here before I jump to the Q&A at the end. Always got to cover off the analyst reviews and customer reviews. Gartner doesn't currently have an MDR Magic Quadrant yet, unfortunately. So the only thing that we can go off from Gartner perspective is Gartner Peer Insights. And that is where we have fully vetted and verified customer reviews for MDR services. And Sophos is the #1 most reviewed MDR service with 257 overall reviews here. And we're also the highest recommended MDR service as well, with a 97% willingness to recommend that service. So a really, really strong place to be. If you can keep the analysts happy, that's good. But if the customers are happy, I always find more value in that. But then the next best thing to Gartner is G2 for MDR. And Sophos is the top rated MDR service for enterprise, mid-market, SMB, and overall MDR grids under G2. So once again, really strong place to be, keeping the analysts happy. They're really happy with the investigation and visibility and response that we're providing as a part of this MDR service. And then the last slide I've got here is just around sort of framing Sophos MDR on the competitive landscape. There's quite a few vendors out there that offer these MDR services, so it's sort of important to understand the differences between them. And what we've done here at Sophos is we've broken them down into 3 main categories. The first one is the bring your own technology MDR, and these MDR sort of services, they sit over the top of whatever security infrastructure you've got in place. They don't mind what protection solutions that you're using, but they're typically more of a notify service. If they find a malicious action, they'll tell you about it, and then you sort of pick up the mantle from there, and then you decide what you want to do as response, and you perform that response. It's more a guidance only service normally. Some of them do provide some manual response actions, but it's going to be at an additional cost, and there's a limited amount of response hours or actions per year. Then we've got the single vendor MDRs. These are the ones that they'll look at their own security tools. So if it's CrowdStrike, for example, you have to be using CrowdStrike's endpoint protection, CrowdStrike's XDR, and they are limited to visibility of those solutions, and they can only perform responses within those solutions as well. The response side is typically quite good. They can do the more in-depth human-led response, but quite often it is sort of limited to a certain amount of hours per year, and it can come at an additional cost as well. But then we've got Sophos MDR over on the right. Right now, we're the only MDR service that can provide visibility across your entire technology stack, whether or not it's Sophos branded, and provide that human-led hands-on keyboard action to those customers, sort of providing a combination of those two offerings into one packaged managed service. So something that we're really proud of as well. So to summarize, MDR service trusted by over 20,000 customers globally with a threat response time of 38 minutes. And we can layer over the top of your security tools, no matter where you are on that security journey, to provide proactive threat hunting, threat detection, and investigation across that suite of security products. We're free to integrate with Microsoft specifically. So if you're using Defender on the endpoint, if you're using any of that Microsoft Security Graph portfolio, we can pull that information in for free. And we can perform incident response, hands-on keyboard activity, human-led activity. There's a human analyst sitting behind the screen, and they can perform threat containment all the way through to full-scale incident response across those endpoints and servers. So thank you for joining. I hope you found that interesting and informational. We've got a little Q&A session now. So hopefully we've got some questions that have already come in. If not, jump on your keyboards and start asking them. We've got 8 minutes, so plenty of time.
Thanks, Daniel, for showing us the MDR product. Yeah, we've had quite a few questions through, so I'll just hand it over to Eve to fire some questions at you.
Thank you. So the first question is, can we run pen tests while using the MDR service?
That's a great question. So absolutely. If you've got the MDR service rolled out, and you want to run, pen tests that you usually run throughout the year or once a year or every 2 years, we more than welcome it. I had a customer actually recently ask me if they could run a pen test, and then asked if they needed to let the MDR team know about it, which I sort of chuckled at because that would be kind of giving the game away, right? It's a little bit too easy. Don't make it easy for us. Run as difficult of a pen test as you want, and we will be more than happy to respond to that like it's a malicious threat without knowing about it at all. So we welcome pen tests. It's a great way to sort of be sure from a customer perspective that the MDR service is doing what it says. So yeah, if you're an MDR customer and you want to run a pen test, please feel free to do it. You do not need to let us know about it. Just go ahead and do it because we'll be more than happy to respond to those tests.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. We've got another one here as well. Can we ask the MDR team to run ad hoc investigations?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're concerned about a particular threat that you saw in the news, if you're concerned about something that you've seen in your environment, you can create a case directly to the MDR team. You can send them an email, you can pick up the phone, whatever it is, and we will sort of just go out and investigate that concern on your behalf. You don't need to just sort of rely on what the tools are saying. If you're concerned about something, you can create these sort of ad hoc investigations to figure out what that threat is, if there is indeed a threat, and they'll go and do that for you as a part of the service.
Brilliant. One client watching today uses the Juniper firewalls. They didn't see that in the presentation, but can they use that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So Juniper's actually coming very soon. It's in beta testing right now. But in terms of those integrations, we've got a really dense pipeline of integrations coming soon that are working through our development teams. And all new integrations are sort of driven by customer demand. So if you're an MDR customer or you want to be an MDR customer, let us know what you want to see, and that'll help us prioritize what integrations are coming next. But I can tell you right now, we've got about 30 or 40 in the pipeline that are hopefully coming soon. And Juniper is one of the ones that is coming sort of first up. I think it comes next quarter. Don't hold me to that, but it'll be coming shortly.
Brilliant. I think we've got time for one more question, and that is, can I exclude specific devices from MDR response and keep certain server in the collaboration mode?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if there's a sort of server that's providing some sort of critical function internally, or just certain devices that you don't want the MDR team to automatically isolate from the network if it's going to cause problems elsewhere in the organization. You can leave certain devices excluded from that response mode. So, for example, if there's a critical server that you don't want taken down without your consent, you can leave that in collaborate mode and have everything else in authorized mode. So if they do see a threat on that server, they'll ask you about it, but they won't take any action on that without you giving the thumbs up. But I should prefix that by saying the MDR team's only really going to isolate a server like that if there is a legitimate, very worrying threat on it. The fact that these are human analysts, they take this context into consideration. So if they can see, I've had this concern come from healthcare companies, for example. If they can see that this is a piece of equipment that's potentially life-saving equipment, or you identify that at the start of the service, they're not going to make any drastic actions unless there's something really, really serious going on. But either way, you can leave that in notify mode if you want.
Oh, thank you so much, Daniel. So thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for everyone who watched. And this will be uploaded as a separate record. So if you did miss today, don't you worry, you will see the record as well. Keep an eye out as well on CSG for our upcoming events. We've got lots of stuff going on, so make sure to keep updated. Follow our LinkedIn for all of our latest updates.
Yeah, thank you from myself as well to everyone. And should anyone have any further questions or would like to discuss the MDR in more detail, please reach out to us at CSG and we'll be more than happy to sort of arrange a meeting and we can sort of discuss your requirements and see where we can help you in the future. So again, thank you from myself.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks everyone.